Kailas FUGA EX3. First run here today. Thank you to Kailas for sending me a bunch of shoes and gear to test. I have this EX3 here. I also do have a little bit of an exciting shoe, the EX Pro, in for test. They also sent me these wonderful orange socks that I have on. Some ankle gaiters that definitely put to the test once I get my mountain legs coming back to me after Beaverhead. Also the Air 8-liter vest. Try that on at home. Seems to have some very nice and thoughtful features, as do these shoes and the EX Pro. I'm gonna stop and take a close-up pretty shortly and look at what those are. Kailas did send me a pretty extensive catalog of their shoe models. They have quite a lot of shoe models, actually. I previously tested the FUGA DU BOA, dual BOA setup. I didn't really get along with that shoe. Felt a little bulky, a little heavy, and mainly the dual BOA just didn't work for me. A similar kind of thing with other BOA systems. Couldn't get the heel locked down as much as I would like without squeezing the middle and lower portions of the foot more than I'd like. The two shoes I have for test, this EX3 and the EX Pro, both have the same quick lace style system, but with a very interesting dual zone setup, and I have to say, major improvement over the BOA model I tested. Honestly, kind of put that shoe away after testing. It just wasn't working at all, but these two shoes, fit is really great, and a lot of it is to do with this lacing system. I am going to take a quick look up ahead here. But speaking of dual zone lacing setups, I just released a full, I would say epic, 50+ minute long A/B comparison of the Mountain Coast T1 against the La Sportiva Prodigio Pro. T1, of course, has dual quick lace system, separate laces though, separate kind of toggles for the upper and lower sections. Here a little different, which I'll demonstrate. Just got one lace. Kind of a bit of a tweak on that design. So yeah, that A/B test is quite a long one. I'm gonna try to keep this one short and sweet here. Kind of a little bonus day out on the trail. My daughter in guitar class right now, so got this quick hour. Figured there were some cool details about the upper, the lacing, gaiter attachments that I noticed in this shoe, which I had just recently talked about with the T1, and even posted a little picture on Instagram about the Mountain Coast T1's gaiter attachment loops in the rear heel of the shoe. Those kind of elements were just top of mind this particular moment, so I figured I got this shoe and has some kind of similar design points, and let's just zip through them right here on the first run. Up over there by our ski mountain, that's where I'm targeting for my EX Pro test runs. Check out these laces here. We've got a quick lace system here. Let's pull it out. But you've got two, I guess you would call these toggles. So you have a lower zone, upper zone here, but you don't have separate laces. If you remember the T1, you have a completely separate, disconnected lace section, and the toggle was on the bottom. You pull it, you would kind of tuck it in there, and then this would be completely separate. Here, a little bit different. You have a toggle that's in line with the regular lace. So I think this is actually pretty cool. Somebody had pointed out these shoes to me, a subscriber, and I took a look at them and said, okay, oh cool, similar, same as the T1, but I didn't really quite grasp how different it was. So here, I've got this set up pretty loose, just kind of how I like it. I like to have a little bit of space here, especially today. I'm running on a gravel path. This is essentially a flat run, a little bit of road. Don't need to have this super squeezed. Generally, I like to even have it a little bit looser, even in technical running, just to have my forefoot feel the ground better. And here, you can just toggle this easily, and you can pull this either tighter or looser, depending on how tight you want this lower section, and it connects, you know, see how loose I got it there? That's a little bit too loose, but you can see it just stays connected to this one. I don't have a separate toggle that I have to tuck in. I think this is pretty cool. I had never seen this before, and I'm not aware of any other shoe or brand that does this. Another interesting feature is they have a little hook here, and this does help in getting the shoe off. A lot of times the quick lace, it could be a pain to kind of loosen them off and get them on and off. Not that that's a major deal, but this is kind of cool. Sometimes a little tricky to kind of remember or locate the right part that needs to go around here. So you can see how easy it is to get the shoe on and off, and then you just hook that on there and lace it right up. So I do like to have this nice and snug. As you can see, this is great. The tongue is like this neoprene kind of section here, pretty thick, and it goes way up, so no issues with this being a little bit short and getting on your ankle. Compared to the FUGA DU BOA setup, I am totally locked in the heel. It just feels so much better. With that BOA, I couldn't get this heel seated without really cranking it down and then squeezing this way more than I'd like. My foot would get numb and stuff. My heel would be secure, but my foot would be numb in the front. Now, especially with this, this is just better, first of all, and especially with this, I can really tension this how I want it and then lock this in. This lace pocket, again, it goes, the inside section encompasses like this whole top section of the tongue, so there's a lot of space in there. Really works pretty well to stuff the toggle and any excess lace right in there. Again, I am really locked in here. No heel slippage at all. This shoe fits really great. Coming back to the T1, top of mind, there are gaiter attachment points here. I don't have the gaiter here, obviously I don't need it today, but there's an outer, inside, and there's a loop right here. So they sent me a pair of gaiters, got them at home. Once I do some technical running or testing, then I'm gonna slap those on, but I just love the integrated points here. Don't have to worry about figuring out a Velcro patch back here and then just clip it on one of the laces here. So really great setup here. I have these in a size US 10. I would say they felt a little bit long when I first tried them on in the house. I think for most people you would think they are long and maybe you would go true to size. For me that would be 9.5, but now that I have them on, quite comfortable. I've got a legit full thumbs width right here. The tip of my big toe is right here, kind of ahead of this, right at this bumper line right here, which may seem long to you. And the shoes, I just think the kind of visual of them, they kind of look like they're long. But say I'm running or when I'm at home, I test like this. I get into this kind of crouch and then I see where's my toe. Okay, I'm about this far from the front of the toe box here. So again, that's something that you want. These shoes, Vibram Mega Grip, you know, they look like they can handle some serious technical running. This shoe is kind of targeted as an all-arounder though, but based on the outsole and based on the feel and the foothold, they feel like they can handle a lot. And coming back to the sizing, you want to get yourself in this position here. I'm trying to not shadow myself. You want to get yourself in this position and then check. You don't want to be pressed up against the front of the toe box, because that's where you're going to be going downhill, and that's when you're going to be flexing, and that's not even taking foot swelling into consideration. So when you're sizing your shoes, don't just stand here and think, oh, I got too much space here. Get down, see where your front of your toe goes. You don't want to be touching the front when you're in this position. So they look a little long, but I like this fit. Man, these are a great fitting shoe and a great feeling shoe on foot. And this is not even the pro version. Quick specs check here, 11.1 ounces in this model. A little on the heavy side. Definitely runs lighter though, I can tell you that. 100%. The Pro model, EX Pro that I have, is 10.4. Different foam there, a little bit lighter, different upper. But at 11.1, honestly, it feels lighter than that for sure. Stack is 36 at the heel, 28 for an 8mm drop. I think that is noticeable, especially having this model and the Pro model, which is 35mm drop. Putting these shoes side by side especially, I can feel that this one's definitely a higher drop. Feel that 8mm from the heel to the forefoot. It doesn't feel excessive. The thing is, the shoe doesn't feel firm underfoot, and there's very good flex around the middle and the ball of the foot. I need some more running to kind of pinpoint it. There's no kind of distinct, tipping point in the shoe. Very even flex. That bodes well for smooth rideability. But yeah, under the heel, definitely a little chunk here, a little bit extra compared to the EX Pro. I'm kind of liking it. Cruising here though, kind of keeping me leaning forward. Similar kind of feel in terms of the drop as a Nike Wild Horse 10, but that one has a very distinctive rocker feel up front. This one's a little different there. Again, need some more testing, kind of fully flush it out. The foam here is just straight EVA. I didn't find any mention of whether it's supercritical or not, or blended, or anything like that. There's no plate in the mix, that's for sure. The EX Pro does have an X-shaped carbon fiber plate. I actually love the white color. It is, if you can't tell, blazing hot. Late afternoon here, hottest part of the day. I'm decked out in my all white, hot exposed summer kit here, bucket hat included. The white colored shoes are just gonna keep my feet that smidge cooler, it doesn't hurt. So that's all for now. Just a very quick look at the Kailas FUGA EX3. I have got a lot of stuff from Kailas/FUGA to get into and test. Definitely gonna have to do a big roundup at some point, so keep an eye out for that. I mean, this shoe, it's riding really smooth right now. I am very surprised at 11.1 ounces at how nice it feels, and definitely very impressed with how much better the upper fits and works for me. It's got me actually pretty pumped to try out the EX Pro model. Kailas FUGA EX Pro. First impressions on the run today. Before getting into some more rugged mountain testing that I do think these shoes are more suited for, I wanted to get in some back-to-back runs, quick succession with the EX3 and the EX Pro here today. Just give my first impressions, fit, feel, sizing, ride of the shoes in more tame terrain before I really get into it in depth with these. Got a lot of shoes in for tests, so just want to get something out there in case you're curious about this. Again, first impressions do sometimes hold, so we'll see about that. My legs are gradually starting to come back to me. 6 days post 100K now, so feeling slightly better day by day. Going to start ramping it up into more real trails over the next week or so. So that will be better testing ground for both of these Kailas shoes. I'm gonna start with the specs here just because you just watched my first run in the EX3, so confirm some of those specs. A few adjustments here. I've got 37-32 for a 5mm drop in the EX Pro. Now that's 37 measured at the heel. Their specs go 35-30, so I measured 2mm higher in this shoe and also 2mm higher in the EX3 from their spec. I went and measured 38-30 for the EX3. I think they spec'd 36-28 for an 8mm drop. The EX3 has a 3 mil higher drop. Something definitely noticeable here with the 5 mil drop in this shoe, the Pro version. I do detect a bit more of a, I would say, closer to the ground feel, even though the measured stack height, I have 1 mil less at the heel with this shoe, but I think that 5 mil drop being lower, heel being relatively closer to the ground compared to the forefoot in this model, gives me more balanced feel. The EX3, I noticed that 8 mil drop. Felt like I was on a little bit of a tilt, but it felt very runnable, very good. That foam, it felt, I guess, softer than what it's spec'd at. I did follow up with Kailas, and they confirmed that's just regular old EVA, not super critical, but I guess the softness of it and the volume of it underfoot just felt really good to me. It felt pretty responsive as far as regular old EVAs go. The foams are different between the two shoes. You've got super critical TPU underfoot here in the Pro model. Probably sheds a bit of weight. I've got 10.4 ounces here compared to 11.1 in the EX3. So that's quite a substantial weight difference. 0.7 ounces in equal US 10s here. Stack difference is not that much. Again, this Pro at 37 mil at the heel, 1 mil lower, and it's got 32 under the forefoot, which is actually 2 mil higher than the EX3's 30 millimeter forefoot. Both shoes offer exceptionally smooth rides. I have to say, there's a slight difference in feel. Again, I'm about just 3 miles into running in the shoe, so this is really first impressions comparison, not a full comparison here. With the lower drop of the Pro model, I do feel a little bit more balance in this one. 5 mil drop, I really don't notice too much of that drop at all. Very balanced front to back. The 8 mil in the EX3, that one definitely felt like a little bit extra under the heel, a little bit more support there, a little bit more of a forward-oriented smoothness rather than, say, the balanced smoothness of the Pro here. Actually, a little minor step up in intensity on the trails today. Lower Hulls Gulch here. You've seen it in some of my videos. Slight up and down grade, a few rocky sections. If the legs are feeling good, I could really wind it up here, both up and down, and get a pretty good gauge on shoe in faster, somewhat twisty, somewhat rocky conditions. But that's not how my legs are feeling today. It is still kind of hot too. A little after 8 p.m. here. When I left the house, it was 94 degrees. That's how it is around here. Heat builds up throughout the day. The valley traps everything, and you get peak temperatures a little earlier, 5, 6-ish, I guess. But 7, 8, 9 can still be very hot. Quick close-up here. Slightly different upper than the EX3. This is called a dye mesh upper. It's kind of similar, very airy, kind of structured mesh here. It's pretty similar to a matrix. I wouldn't be surprised if it's even the same, or, you know, effectively the same material as a matrix type upper. That certainly probably plays into the weight factor. Again, 10.4 ounces here versus 11.1 in the EX3. You can see it almost looks like a beaded TPU here. Super critical here. Again, another factor in the weight there. Taking a look at the outsole here, you've got a blend of 4 and 6 mil lugs. Definitely 6 mil around the outer edges, and I'd say, I guess, 4 throughout the middle, I don't think it's any shallower than 4, so 4 through the middle, 6 mil around the edges. Vibram Mega Grip light base, same setup or same compound light base setup as the EX3. This one does have the traction lugs. I don't think the EX3 has the traction lugs here. Kind of interesting, they have them not on both sides of all the lugs. It's kind of strategically placed where the nubs are here. Again, just going back to sizing, I won't kind of recap the whole thing. You could rewind the tape if you want to check the EX3 sizing. I have the same fit and feel in the US 10 here. Compared to other models in the 10, I have nice space at the forefoot. Again, go back and check out how this dual zone inline quick lacing setup works. I think I actually have this one squeezed a little bit tighter than the left one. Anyway, I have this relatively loose, but I think half size up from my true to size in the US 10. I think this is great for me, but there is a bit of extra length. I have a legit full thumbs here in the US 10, which is more than most brands in the US 10. So I would say I like the width sized up. It's a touch long, but again, same thing I was kind of demonstrating with the EX3. I don't mind having this full thumb, especially when I'm going to start testing this in really kind of mountainous stuff. I think I like that extra space there. So based on, I guess, that extra length and how you feel about the width of your forefoot, you could go true to size for sure, as long as you're not worried about being squeezed. I had the FUGA Du BOA in a 10 also, and that shoe, it definitely had more of a point to it. It had more of a pointy shape in the toe box, and even in the 10, I was a little bit pinched there, so that's why I went with a 10 in these two models. And I think I could probably go with a 9.5, so if you have a narrower foot, or you just typically go with kind of a snugger fit, and you typically don't go with a full thumbs width, you could definitely go true to size in these. One big factor I've been withholding here is X-shaped carbon fiber plate. I kind of wanted to get going on the downhill on the way back, see how it felt, moving a little quicker, and also testing my legs, jumping around a little bit. I got a diagram of the plate set up there, and it really is an X. Comes together in the middle, and quite long forks up in the front of the shoe and also the rear. So it's not your typical kind of propulsive setup like a single or maybe smaller forks, but generally kind of a single carbon fiber plate setup that's there just for speed and sacrifices some stability. This one with those kind of big forks, you know, I asked for the picture because I was walking around in the shoe and I was like, wow, I don't really feel it at all. Kind of has a feel similar to the Tecton shoes. Also a bit like the Cloud Ultra Pro. That one's not a carbon plate, nylon fiberglass in that shoe, but in the sense that you just don't really feel it. And they say it was a carbon fiber plate, but you don't notice that kind of aggressive forward tippiness, and also a lateral kind of side to side plate tippiness feeling. You don't get any of that with this shoe. So I would imagine similar to the Tecton in that you get more moderate or light propulsion, you know, and maintaining that level of kind of lateral stability and protection to a little bit extra. I am getting down here pretty quick. The legs are feeling halfway decent at least, and the ride of the shoe feels great. I mean, I feel like I could throw my feet wherever I need them to be without worrying about rolling an ankle or anything like that. Cushion is good, response is good, definitely not feeling any impact. Again, I'm not getting that crazy forward lever action from other carbon plates, but I'm moving quick enough here. And yeah, I could definitely tell at times when it's cambered one way or the other. I could feel the medial or the lateral side kind of contouring up or down without throwing the entire shoe. Yeah, I just stepped on a rock there. Spoke too soon, but no, that's a minor hit there. But yeah, it just feels very fun ride. Cushion, stable, and moving pretty quick. So the last point I'll call out in this back-to-back comparison, first impressions here, is the foothold of both shoes. Really excellent. I feel it's pretty strange because I don't feel like I'm super strapped in. Like I didn't really have to tighten the quick lace all that much, you know, around the ankle and the midfoot as I typically like to do. But I feel like this is the most secure feeling foothold, while at the same time feeling almost loose and too comfortable. It's actually pretty strange. I would expect like this feeling of cushion, you know, across the top eyelets, top lace row there with the quick lace, very padded tongue in that area, and also throughout. It just feels like I'm not feeling any of the laces getting through to my foot, and at the same time my heel is really seated in there really well. And this goes for both models. I noticed that with the EX3 the other day, although not going this fast on the downhill, but similar kind of feeling where it just felt, I don't know, there was like a disconnect between the comfort of it and how secure it feels. So that's a good thing. So that's a wrap on first impressions here for the Kailas FUGA EX3 and EX Pro models. These shoes are calling for more mileage and more rugged terrain. So once I get into that, you'll see more thorough reviews and wrap-ups. And of course, a comparison between these two models. Let me know if you have any questions about them in the meantime, and I'll try to answer them. But stay tuned for the follow-up on these shoes for sure. They're really feeling great, and I am surprised. So thank you for watching, and like and subscribe, all of that. Have a great day out on the trails, and I'll see you in the next one.